Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel. In one of my previous videos, I unboxed this mechanical keyboard. It is the Royal Kludge RK61 Pro with the aluminum casing and the RGB lights and the stock red switches and the stock white keycaps. This is dual mode. It can be either wired or Bluetooth. I mostly use it with Bluetooth because I don't like using up the USB ports too much on my MacBook Pro 13-inch. I have only two USB ports on my MacBook Pro and they are both USB-C. Now, I do like this keyboard, but I did have to make some modifications to it to improve the sound of the keys, which is what this video will be all about. But before I move on to that, I would like to share that I also made modifications to the angle of this keyboard by adding flippy feet. Like I said, this keyboard has an aluminum casing, and from what I have learned so far, aluminum keyboards don't have the flippy feet. They just have the rubber feet at the bottom to prevent the keyboard from sliding around the desk while we are typing, and also to protect the surface of the desk from being scratched. But whatever angle the keyboard has, that is the angle that we are stuck with. There is no option to adjust the angle on aluminum keyboards. But I found that the angle of this keyboard is a little bit too uncomfortable for me. I need it to tilt towards me so that I can see the legends head on more clearly. I know that there are side printed keycaps with the legends printed on the side of the keycap facing us, but those legends tend to be too small and I have very bad eyesight already, even with corrective eyeglasses. So I need the large legends, best if they are shined through as well. And also the keyboard has to be angled towards me, like so I can look at the legends head on. And so these are the flippy feet that I ordered. This is just made of plastic, so I don't know if this will hold or how long it will hold, if at all, because this keyboard is heavy. But I do like that the finish on the plastic flippy feet matches the finish on the aluminum, more or less. Not that I will see it, of course. I won't see it. It's under the keyboard. But it's nice to know that they look matchy-matchy. This pair already comes with an adhesive, and it was just a matter of aligning them on each side of the bottom of the keyboard. The flippy feet has two levels of incline. The shorter incline is okay, but I prefer the taller incline. That's how in my face I want my keyboard to be. It made my keyboard so much more comfortable to type in. Now, speaking of typing, I do hear a clang undertone with each keystroke. It's not very loud, but I can hear it. It's a tone under the click of the keyboard. That's why I call it an undertone. And to me, I describe it as a clang because it sounds metallic. The clang is most likely because of the aluminum casing. At this point, I had no idea what's inside the keyboard, if it had any foam in it at all, and the clangy undertone is not so loud, like I said, but I can hear it. Later on, I will share a much better sound test. So I purchased two things that might help. I purchased 2 sheets of this 2mm Eva mat. I will also link this item in the description box. This is listed as Eva foam for keyboard sound dampening. Based on that descriptive listing alone, I thought maybe it could help. This cost only 20 pesos per sheet. Another thing that I bought was a roll of white electrical tape, potentially to use for the tape mod, which is also called the Tempest mod. Now I know other kinds of tape can work, like painter's tape, but this keyboard has a battery, and I would like to use tape that won't potentially cause a fire. A couple of YouTubers already warned us about that. And this extension cord I just threw in with my order to save on shipping because I needed an additional one anyway. I also purchased this 1mm sheet of silicone heatsink. I will link this item down below. I bought this to potentially help with preventing the battery from heating up in case I have to place foam on top of it, which will hamper airflow around the battery. So it might cause the battery to heat up. So I added this silicone heat sink to prevent the heating up. Okay, now here is the keyboard. To open it up, I need to get to the screws, which are under some of the keycaps over here. I found my old set of mini screwdrivers. They have rusted already on the handles. These are very old, maybe a quarter of a century old. This keycap puller that I'm using is the same one that came in the box together with the keyboard. I already pulled out the keycaps. I had to when I remembered to give a sound test. It does not sound horrible, really. It's fine, but if I could reduce the clangy undertone, I think it would sound much nicer, to my ears at least. There are only 4 screws securing the plate to the case, and just as I suspected, there is absolutely no sound dampening material inside. There is just that very small piece of black foam on top of the battery, just to prevent the metal parts of the plate from coming into contact with the battery. I think that's the purpose of it, but that is really just it. Behind or under the plate, it's just the metal and, well, air in between. That's where the clang undertone comes from. So I cut 1 sheet of the Ava foam to size and then made the holes for the screw holes to poke through. I felt quite uncomfortable with the Ava foam covering up the battery, so I cut up the small pieces of silicone heatsink and placed them over the battery. I wanted 2 layers of foam for maximum sound dampening, but the first layer needed a cutout for the battery because that battery is thick. However, when I placed the second layer of Ava foam, the plate would not sit properly on the screw holes anymore, so I just kept 1 layer of foam inside. And by the way, I deliberately did not detach the battery from the plate because I was afraid of not being able to put it back properly. Now, based on the second typing test, that foam did not do anything. So I opened up the keyboard again and tried to fill in some of the gaps in the sides. Maybe that would help eliminate the clang, and silly me, I tried once again to have a second layer of foam, but the plate really doesn't sit well with that one. Now I considered putting electrical tape on the plate, but I saw a YouTube video that said that electrical tape didn't do much when it comes to changing the sound of the keys. There was a different kind of tape that actually worked. And at this point, I cut off that tiny piece right there for the on-off switch at the bottom of the keyboard. I can still hear the clang. I looked at the inside of one of the keycaps and saw that it wasn't double shot. It's just one layer of white plastic, and the shine through effect is achieved by that clearish sort of frosted white layer at the middle of the keycap. So the keycap is only one layer and is therefore a thinner material. Maybe the keycap is also a factor affecting sound. Here is silly me again, trying to add once again that second layer of Ava foam, but this time I cut off that part that goes over the battery, hoping it will make the plate sit better on the case. And then I also cut off that tiny window for the on-off switch. Even though I could still hear the clang, I persisted, and I managed to force the plate to sit on the screw holes by tightening the screws into place. I just forced it into place by tightening the screws where they should go. There was still some clang, but the sound was a tiny bit better, I thought, at this point. However, I quickly noticed that the on-off switch was more recessed than it should be, and the plate was now a little bowed over here. It really does not sit well in the case, so I had no choice but to remove that second layer of foam again. And with the right fit, this is how the keyboard should look from the front. The bottom of the keys should be flush with the top of the casing without any gap showing. And the on-off switch should be like this. Thankfully, with all of this opening and closing of the keyboard, the electrical connections have not been affected. The clang is really still there, so I figured the next step was to do the tape mod or the Tempest mod. This is the tape that I ordered. I will list this down below, but on the listing it says this is the best tape for modding a keyboard. It's a high-performance masking tape from Japan under the brand MTX. It removes cleanly, no residue, it is UV and heat resistant, but it doesn't say that it's fire resistant. It is water and chemical resistant, it has strong adhesion, and it is safe for all finishes. That's what it says on the packaging. Hello again, keyboard. Let us make you sound better. I added one layer of tape, then poked out the holes for where the screws should go, and then after a quick sound test, decided that I should add a second layer of tape. At this point, it started to sound better, less clang. Decided I should add a second layer of tape. At this point, it started to sound better. There is less clang, so I could hear the actual keys more. But I felt uncomfortable about the tape coming into contact with the battery despite the silicone heat sink already on the battery. So I decided maybe it will not do any harm to place some electrical tape over that part of the plate. And the electrical tape might help with the sound quality as well. Those two strips of electrical tape did not do anything to the sound quality, I think, but it made me feel more secure and comfortable about mitigating potential fire. But then I decided to add a third layer of green tape, which I think had a very subtle effect. It made the sound of the actual keys pop a little bit more and made the clang sound disappear a little bit more. It is still not the best sound, but it is a tiny bit better than how it used to sound. So just to have a better comparison, I will play this older video clip of me typing on my actual desk where I use the keyboard every single day, because the kind of desk I think also contributes to how the sound resonates. A keyboard sound is the sum of all its individual parts plus the work surface that the keyboard is on and what other objects are near it, I think. Here is the video clip from February 21 before all of these modifications. And here is the video clip from a few days hence, which is actually February 26, with all of the modifications. I can tell that the sound is different. There is less of a metallic clang undertone, so the sound of the actual keys is slightly more prominent. Here is a before and after again. This is still not the sound that I really want, but it is nicer and I like it because I made it happen. It's my very first time to ever modify a mechanical keyboard, and this is my first ever mechanical keyboard ever, and I do appreciate the concept behind mechanical keyboards in general. It's fun and it makes typing more fun and more comfortable. And I don't share my room with anyone, so I know I am not disturbing anyone with the sound. By the way, I apologize once again for my bad typing form. I never took any typing classes. This was just how I learned how to type after I discovered on my own how to use a typewriter when I was maybe 8. But this horrible typing form has served me well over the decades. It is not 100% efficient, I am sure, but it's what I have, and I'm grateful that it got me through my entire career as a writer. This is not the end of the keyboard modification. I don't think so. Because I ordered double shot keycaps. So please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so that you will get an alert as soon as that video is up. Thanks for watching. Bye.